All right, so we're diving into Kyle Rayner. All that DC stuff you said. This is going to be fun. This isn't just another Green Lantern story, though. We're going deep on what makes Kyle different. It's like what happens when someone with his potential, with willpower like that, gets a hold of even more cosmic power.
And we're talking about a lot of power here.
Right. We're talking about mastering the entire emotional spectrum, not just willpower.
Exactly. I mean, that's the key here. Most lanterns, they're recruited into one core, drawing on one emotion, Kyle. He doesn't just learn about the other lantern core, he ends up wielding the power of every single one of them.
Okay, so we have to start at the beginning, right? He's a Green Lantern, chosen for his willpower. Pretty standard so far, but
But that's just the start.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is about what makes Kyle so different, his journey beyond that green light.
And it's a wild one. Think about it. This is a guy who trains with the Red Lanterns. He's learning to control rage from Atrocitus himself.
Can you imagine? I mean, it's one thing to lose your temper, but to tap into that kind of raw fury.
It's a level of intensity that would break most people. There's a story, right? Atrocitus is trying to push Kyle to the limit, to make him lose control. He makes him watch as these rebels are massacring innocent people.
Oh, wow.
Horrible, right? Anyone would be enraged. But Kyle, he becomes a Red Lantern, yes, but he doesn't let it consume him.
Wait, so he's overcome with rage, but then...
He taps into something else. His willpower, that core Green Lantern energy, it's still there.
Yeah.
He actually uses it to heal the wounded, even while he's this, avatar of rage.
He's fighting it from the inside,
Yeah.
holding on to who he is.
Exactly. It's this resistance to being controlled by those extreme emotions, even as he's experiencing them, that makes him so unique. And it's not just rage, either. He trains with Archilo.
Who's, the embodiment of greed.
Yeah. And then there's Lafreeze, who's all about fear. It's like Kyle seeks these things out, these intense, overwhelming emotions, and he finds a way to not just survive them, but master them.
And eventually he's mastered all of them. All 7 lantern colors.
All 7. It's almost unheard of in the DC universe. To wield that much power, that much raw emotional energy, it's incredible.
It's got to do something to you, right? Change a person.
It definitely shapes his journey. But that's what we're going to get into, how facing these extremes, these different aspects of the emotional spectrum, how that changes who Kyle is, both as a Green Lantern and as a person.
So what makes Kyle so unique, even among all the lanterns out there, is that he doesn't shy away from these emotions. He owns them.
He confronts them. He masters them.
Yeah.
It's that ability to embrace the full spectrum of his being, the light and the dark, that allows him to reach a level of power that few can even comprehend. And, as Kyle's power grows, the threats he faces, they kind of grow with him.
Yeah, we're not talking about, neighborhood bullies anymore, are we?
Not even close. We're talking about entities with the power to, unravel reality itself.
Yeah.
And the first lantern, that's a big one.
Yeah. I mean, you sent over a bunch of research about that, and wow, that's intense. The first lantern is the original, right? But he doesn't want to protect emotions. He wants to wipe them out completely.
It's like he looks at all the conflict, the chaos, all the stuff going on in the universe, and he's like, yep, emotions are the problem.
But to just erase them from existence, doesn't that kind of go against what the lanterns are all about?
Well, yeah, I mean, from our perspective, sure. But the first lantern, he sees it differently, right? He genuinely believes that by purging emotions, he can create a perfect order, a universe free from all the suffering and strife that we associate with, being alive.
So he's not exactly a villain then.
It's more complicated than that. He's driven by this really intense, almost righteous belief that he's doing what's necessary for the greater good. It's just that his methods are, kind of extreme.
Okay, but wiping out all emotion, how do you even fight that?
It's a nightmare for Kyle, especially because he's become this nexus of emotional energy, right? So the first lantern, he zeroes in on Kyle immediately.
Like a moth to a flame, a very powerful, rage-fueled flame.
Exactly, and the battle is brutal. The first lantern, he nearly drains Kyle completely, emotionally, physically. It's really close.
I bet. So what happens? How does he even survive that?
He gets sent back to Earth, basically powerless, completely spent. And that's where Carol Ferris comes in, right? She finds him, helps him recover.
She's more than just a love interest in all this, isn't she?
No, she plays a vital role in his journey. She's there for him, when he's at his lowest point. It shows this really human side to Kyle, that even after battling these cosmic entities, he still needs that connection, that support system.
That's interesting because you'd think someone who's achieved that level of power would be, I don't know, beyond all that.
But that's the thing about Kyle. He never loses sight of his humanity. But, like always, the universe isn't done with him yet. Enter. Relic.
Oh, yeah. Relic, the Sourcewall guy. What's his deal again? He thinks all lanterns are a threat, something about them using up all the energy in the universe.
Basically. Relic, see, he stumbles upon this terrifying truth about the emotional spectrum. He realizes that it's not infinite, like everyone always thought. It's a finite resource, and every time a lantern uses their ring, they're draining it just a little bit.
And that's bad. I mean, is it like a battery? Are they going to run out of juice eventually?
That's exactly what Relic is afraid of. He sees the lanterns, all of them, as this massive threat to the universe, these cosmic parasites feeding on a dying power source.
So he takes it upon himself to, what, stop them?
He becomes convinced that the only way to save the universe is to stop the lanterns from using their rings, all of them, permanently.
And this whole thing about the source wall that factors into this, right?
Big time. See, the source wall, that's like the edge of reality, literally. Beyond it, there's supposed to be this wellspring of infinite energy, the source where everything came from.
So Rillick thinks if he can get to the source, he can, like, recharge the universe's batteries, so to speak.
Exactly. He thinks he can fix the problem. But the source wall, no one's supposed to be able to cross that and come back. It's a one-way trip.
Except for Kyle.
Except for Kyle.
Ah.
He does the impossible. He goes beyond the source wall and actually comes back, but it changes him. He's seen something out there, something that marks him, changes him in ways we're still figuring out.
Man, this guy, first lantern, the source wall, you'd think he would catch a break. But then there's Oblivion.
Oblivion is different, though. It's not some external threat. It comes from Kyle, from his own fears, his anxieties about the sheer amount of power he wields.
So, like, he creates his own worst enemy.
In a way, yeah. Oblivion embodies all his doubts, his fears about becoming a danger to everyone, about losing control.
Okay, so how does he even begin to fight something like that? I mean, it's like battling a part of yourself.
Exactly. It's the ultimate test. And the thing is, he doesn't do it alone this time. Carol's there for him, and some of his other allies, they remind him of who he is, what he's fighting for.
So it's about accepting those darker parts of himself, but not letting them win.
It's about balance, right? About realizing that we're all made up of light and dark, and the key is to embrace it all, but not let any one part define us. But even after facing down Oblivion, his journey takes another unexpected turn. He finds this planet appears to be completely lifeless, drained of all energy, and that's when things get really wild.
So we've got Kyle, emotionally drained, alone on a dead planet, ready for a fresh start, and DC's like, you know what? Everyone gets a fresh start.
Yeah.
New 52 time.
It's kind of a crazy time in comics, right? These huge reboots, everything gets shaken up.
So what happens to Kyle's story? Does he stay depowered, or?
Well, he becomes a Green Lantern again, pretty quickly, actually. But then things get interesting because in this new timeline, he becomes a White Lantern again, too. It's like, no matter what, he's destined to wield the full emotional spectrum.
That gotta be tempting, right? To have that much power again.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Sinestro tries to take the White Lantern ring from Kyle.
Sinestro. Seriously. But he's all about fear, isn't he?
Even Sinestro, as obsessed with order and control as he is, even he recognizes the sheer scope of the White Lantern's power. He wants it for himself. But the ring, it rejects him.
It's like the ring knows he's not worthy or something.
It's as if the ring, or maybe the life equation itself, sees something in Kyle, some quality that makes him the right fit for that kind of power.
And what does Kyle do? Does he, like, blast Sinestro with the power of 1,000 suns?
Nope. He does something even more unexpected. He splits the life equation, divides it into 7 rings.
7 rings. Why? Why give up that kind of power?
Because he understands something really important, something a lot of heroes never figure out. He realizes that having that much power, even with the best intentions, is dangerous. He's not afraid of the responsibility, not exactly, but he knows it can corrupt.
He's thinking about what happened with Oblivion, how all that power almost destroyed him from the inside out.
I think so. He's learned that sometimes the most heroic thing you can do is to let go, to trust others to share the burden.
And then, just when you think Kyle's story can't get any wilder, DC hits us with Rebirth, another reboot. And suddenly, Kyle is depowered again.
Well, sort of. He's back to being a Green Lantern, mostly. It's like they wanted to explore different aspects of his character, different challenges.
Because when you can literally rewrite reality, the stakes have to be pretty high, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's about showing that even without infinite cosmic power, Kyle Rayner is still a hero. He's still out there fighting for what he believes in, pushing himself to be better.
Man, what a ride. We've gone from his first days as Green Lantern, learning about willpower, to seeing him wield the full spectrum of emotions as a White Lantern. He's faced down cosmic horrors, his own inner demons. He even died at one point, right?
And came back. It's a testament to his resilience, his willpower, that core strength that makes him such a compelling hero.
He's been through so much, but he never gives up. He never stops believing in hope, in the power of connection, even when facing impossible odds.
And that's the heart of Kyle Rayner's story, isn't it? He reminds us that even in the darkest corners of the universe, there's always light, always something worth fighting for.
This has been incredible. You've given us so much to think about, so many different layers to Kyle's story. He's more than just a Green Lantern, that's for sure.
Definitely. And maybe that's the question we leave with, right? What does it mean to be more than just a symbol, more than just a hero? What does it mean to be Kyle Rayner?